can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Weiss here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders like the founders of P90X, Baby Einstein, Atari, and many more, and how they overcome big challenges in life and business. Our sponsor today is Rise25.com, which helps service professionals, doctors, lawyers, accountants, coaches, consultants, create additional revenue streams and stop just trading time for dollars. Go to Rise25.com, learn more. It's run by myself and co-founder John Corcoran. Make sure to check out our Dream Product Ladder template, which helps people plan their dream business on one sheet of paper. I am very excited. This is a long time coming, and we've spent many times at conferences together. Today we have Kim Krause Schwalm, one of the top direct response copywriters. She's worked in the industry for more than 25 years, creating breakthrough copy for companies like Boardroom, National Geographic, Healthy Directions, Rodale, Soundview, and that's just to name a few. She was integral in launching a nutritional supplement company, Healthy Directions, that went on to become a multi-million-dollar business within the first few years alone. And she was the first female copywriter to have a control at Boardroom. Kim, thanks for joining me.
Hey, it's great to be here finally, Jeremy.
So early on, I mean, you launched helped launch Healthy Directions, and it did really well out of the gate. What were some of the things early on that would be valuable for people to know about launching this multi-million-dollar supplement company, essentially?
Well, I mean, like I said, the first thing to remember
That's Bob
is,
Hutchinson.
I thought I had that turned off. Yeah, I was just talking about you. The two things that I mentioned earlier were very key. One was we were already going to a really good audience. In some ways, they were already following his leadership. So we were going to the best possible audience, which were already people that were customers for another part of our business. And I thought I had that turned off. Oh, well, anyway. And then the second part of that was, I'm losing my train of thought here.
Well, you said the doctor had a following, and obviously there was probably a built-up base of people that follow the doctor. And
there was some demand already for that product. But I guess how you would apply that to your own business is, or if you were starting a business, is there a group of people who are kind of like your low-hanging fruit that you just go after first, right? That's a good starting point. The other thing I was going to say was, because we had a consumable or renewable type product, building that whole process out right out of the gate. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing what people do now when they build funnels. Make sure you have that all built out. You get, okay, now we've got these upsells, we've got this. What are you going to do beyond that? Right. And then how you're going to nurture that, and how you're going to get those reorders, and have that all fleshed out, in advance, and have that ready to go.
What did that look like early on? Like from the insert, them buying like 3 and get 1 free, to what happened after that?
The insert, okay, so we would get the initial sale, and then they would get something in the box, with their order. It either, with a coupon to use for a future order. There'd also be some kind of warm and fuzzy letter, and, kind of reaffirming their purchase decision. Here's how you want to use the product to get the best results, etc. And then you would get, again, this is all pre-email and internet.
So I love it.
But you can apply all this, obviously, to the internet.
Yeah.
Then and it would be a lot less expensive. And then we would send a series of 3 different follow-up mailings to each buyer of the core program or forward. And it was to get that next order on the way. You want to keep going. You're already noticing you're doing great things for your health. If you're going to keep enjoying these benefits, the longer you take it, the more you're going to see. So,
it's a nurture sequence.
And then we would get them into and then we would have one of those would be more targeted on the auto ship program. Just about what a great program it was, peace of mind, worry-free, it's totally flexible, you can change it anytime, or, all that. But just, we had a whole series that we would lead them through to get them to either reorder or get on the auto ship program. And then as we introduced other products, we put together, it started off as a small, tiny little catalog. now I think it's like a 36 or 42 page catalog that they have. But, with all the different products, and we put that in the box as well. And then we would also mail that as a standalone to those people. And we'd get huge response.
That's really amazing. And would you drive them to a phone number, or how would they end up purchasing?
Mostly phone or mail order. Again, this is all seems like so archaic almost now, back in the 90s. But again, this is all
I feel like people
the same marketing strategy you can apply online, and you can also incorporate some mail where it makes sense. Even if it's somebody who came to you online. Yeah. Because people, stuff gets lost with the emails. I mean, people will respond to them.
Yeah.
The mailbox is a lot less crowded place these days, and things stand out more. Yeah.
And I feel like, too, the older people who want whatever it is, joint supplements, or, they may be an older crowd who are used to that type of purchasing, like you said.
Right.
I want to, Kim, talk about, you were the first female to hold a controlled boardroom. You tell me about, you get a call from Brian Kurtz.
Okay, so this is kind of a funny story. So I knew Brian just from when I worked at Philips. I had met him a few times. He was, the guy, he was like the main list guy up at Boardroom. And I ran into him after I had been freelancing for a couple years at the infamous Newsletter Publisher Association conference in DC. And I think I was like maybe 4 or 5 months pregnant with my second child. So I was at that phase where you're like, has she just put on weight, or is she pregnant? Like, it's, is she fat, or,
Yeah.
I don't want to, Kim, what happened since you left Philips? I mean, I don't know, I hadn't seen him in a while. Right. And
it's like you've grown since I last
seen you. As a woman, I'm kind of just feeling like I'm kind of in that feeling a little dumpy and whatever, But I was talking with him with a group of people, and I'm like, hey, I'm a copywriter now. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. And he's kind of brushed me off, and I'm like, okay, whatever, because again, it was like the ultimate dream to be able to write for Boardroom, right? That was like, I want to be one of those copywriters someday. And so I figured nothing came out of it. And then, of course, I told you the story about what happened with personal finance. And after on my second try, I beat Jim Rutz and got this big control. So a few months after that, the marketing director from KCI was at the financial marketing roundtable meeting down in Florida, which is where all the big publishers get together to talk about what's working, what's not. And Brian asked the marketing director, so who's got your personal finance control? And he's like, oh, Kim Krause's got it. And he's like, he couldn't call me fast enough. I was on a train actually to go to a conference in New York that he was going to be at. And he calls me on the train. He's like, hey, can you write for Boardroom? I'm like, okay, So I think it just took, that his respect for me is like, oh, she's not just like, one of the things I think I had to grapple with a little bit, even with people that where I was working at Philips, because I think people thought, oh, well, she wants to stay home with her baby, and it was almost like I was kind of mommy tracking myself, by jumping off the corporate ladder, because I was, pretty high up on the corporate ladder.
Yeah.
I walked out of a 6-figure a year job
in
1998. So I think some people had the perception that, oh, you're just kind of doing this like part-time while you stay home with the kids, and that's all well and good. But I was approaching it very much like a full-time job. I still had a nanny, et cetera. I mean, I was working full-time at this. So I think that, he realized, oh, wait a minute, she like beat Jim Rutz.
She's serious. Yeah.
Like, okay, so that's how I got my break with them.
Why would they want to share that? Wouldn't they want to keep like some secret weapons and not share it with everyone?
What do you mean?
You're like, the
like
different companies saying who won the control. I'm not telling you. Like, I'm keeping Kim for myself.
Yeah, well, I'm glad they didn't do that. I think that they all benefit. It's like, and that's a good lesson, I think, for your audience as well. I think that in most industries anyway, there's plenty of opportunity for everyone, and you actually benefit from kind of helping your competitors.
They seemed very open all the time. Like, oh, this person just won the control, and like, them wanting to hire that person.
I mean, there's some companies like Healthy Directions, for example, they don't want me to put any of my controls up on my website. They don't even want because they try to keep it secret who writes for them and has their controls, but everybody knows, Right. But yeah, they do try to keep it. But most companies are pretty open. And one thing I do remember from way back when we first started the Healthy Directions business is there was a company, and I think they're still around, a huge company called Enzymatic Therapy, and they were a very big, successful supplement company, and they had some ties and relationships with Julian Whitaker. My boss and I flew up to Green Bay to meet with the owner of the company and their doctor formulator, and they were very open with sharing, like, because we were in the very early phases of our business, like what was working, what wasn't, and
really interesting.
Manufacturing. We toured, and I remember at one point the president of the company saying, there's plenty of opportunity here for everyone, and the more people that succeed, the more we all succeed, and not just financially, but in terms of they really cared about their mission, right? They really thought that this was a better way. So if you really care about your mission and you really care about growing your business, I think it's like all ships rise. You can help other companies, and I think the companies that tend to hold more things in, and they will suffer ultimately. And just like the ones that don't take risk and don't encourage their employees to take smart risk. They will ultimately limit themselves.
That is the saying of Rise 25. Rising tides lift all boats. We 100% believe in that, and that works. Talk about, Kim, the challenges of navigating family and business, because that's not an easy, I don't find it easy to navigate. So give me your words of wisdom on then and then up to now.
Yeah, I'm still figuring that out.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the key thing is make sure you have the support you need. And I'm just saying that it would apply even if it was a guy that was staying home, and let's say the wife was going off, to the corporate world. In this case, my husband's always had a job outside the house, and I, for the last 19 years, have worked from home. So I've always made sure that, I was telling this to Ben Settle a few months ago. I probably haven't cleaned a toilet in 22 years. And that's good, but it doesn't make sense for me to try to do housework, for example. That's one thing. Like if I can delegate it out, let me delegate it out, right? For a period of time, I had somebody come in twice a week when, kids were younger, and I'd have people doing my laundry, and, I didn't have to worry about as many of those household tasks. But yeah, so I think as a woman or somebody working from home, if you're still trying to do all that, I'm going to close my window for a second because they're starting to mow the lawn. Speaking of delegating.
Yeah, you're like, we've...
Speaking of delegating. So, get the support you need. And the other thing is, you have flexibility. I can work early in the morning if I want, or I can work late at night.
Yeah.
If I need to go take my kids to school or to a doctor's appointment, like when they were younger, I can just make time for that. So it does give you a lot of flexibility to be self-employed.
Yeah. Delegation, it sounds amazing. Some people have a hard time with it. They're just so used to doing certain things, I think.
That can be part of your relationship with your spouse or partner, too. One thing I learned early on is, and I think a lot of women do this. Again, I guess I'm talking to the women in the audience, but maybe some men do it, too. But, like, your husband wants to do something to help. Let's say you finally get to that point where he's like, what can I do to help? And then he does it like not the way that you would do it. And then you criticize him. And then he's like, I'll never, he's never.
That never happens in marriage, criticizing? Come on.
Yeah. I never do that to my husband. But one thing that I learned after I had my first child, and I was still at Philips, and I was going through this period of, there was a lot of changes in what my role was at the company. And I was trying to decide did I want to take the leap and become a freelance copywriter, or was I going to stay there? Or actually, I had some other job offers I was considering. So I decided to just go off to a spa in Arizona for like 3 days or 4 days, just so I could go away and think, my son was like maybe 8 or 9 months old, but I actually left him with my husband for because a lot of new moms just are like, there's no way I can even leave him for the day, But, my husband stepped up and he took care of him, and, and I was able to go away and come back. But that also was a big part of being able to trust him more, that, hey, it's okay. Like, it doesn't have to be all me. My husband is actually capable. Although there were those days I'd come home sometimes like, so what did the kids have for lunch? Oh, were they supposed to have lunch? Okay.
They're supposed to nap?
Phone husband at noon and say, did you feed them? But yeah.
I'm sure I've been guilty of several of those type of things that you're like, are you kidding me? So
So part of it is just with anything when you're in management, and I've been in management positions, you got to learn to be able to delegate to your employees and let go. And sometimes things aren't always going to be done perfectly the way you would do them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Kim,
opportunities for training.
this has been absolutely fantastic. I want to thank you. I have one last question, but where should we point people towards to check out online?
So they can go to my website, which at this point anyway, I haven't updated in like 8 years. Which
Really? I think it looks pretty good.
kimschwalm.com.
Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot
For
more.
8 years? That's good.
Well, some of those have still mailing or have been mailing until recently.
It's timeless, just like your website. Yeah, I
And
would
then
encourage anyone to go into the portfolio section. I mean, there's a wealth of information here, but it's really golden. So
Thank you.
yeah.
I also have another site where people can get a free report that I put together, and it's the A-List Copywriters Manifesto, but it has 7 success principles for winning promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get that at themarketingsuperpower.com.
TheMarketingSuperpower.com.
Yeah, so it's got the in front of it. So themarketingsuperpower.com. And you can just opt in to that list. And I'm not going to email you all the time because I'm just too busy. But if I do have something interesting, I will email you. But you can definitely, that way you'll get that report sent to you via email.
Yeah.
And you'll also, if you're a woman who's an entrepreneur, marketer, copywriter, you'll find out details via an email about how to sign up for my free private Facebook group called
The Girls Club. Yeah.
Which is really growing, and we've got a great community, and we're actually having a free call that I'm doing with people tonight where we're going to be talking about negotiating strategies and communicating effectively with clients. And we also sometimes do like Girls Club meetups, and we have every month we have a girl on fire that we celebrate who's doing some cool stuff with her career. And it's just a great community where you can just ask questions and get support.
Yeah.
So I encourage all the women to check it out.
Check it out. Kim, so my last question is, I mean, I could go on for hours and hours and go through every single one of your promotions, but I won't. I'll spare you. On the marketingsuperpower.com, so I was able to check it out, and I figured maybe you talk about one thing that we haven't talked about so far that would be important, that obviously helps create winning promotions. What have we not covered? I mean, obviously they can go to the marketingsuperpower.com and get all 7 and get your information. What's one that we haven't talked about so far?
Yeah, I think research is my secret weapon. I exhaustively research things. I mean, I spend at least a third of the period of time that I work on a promotion probably doing research.
Mm-hmm.
And it's either, especially with supplements, you've got to dig up the studies. You got to, if there's more than one nutrient, you got to figure out which one's got the best story that maybe you want to highlight or lead with. You want, all the proof, the credibility. You want the quotes. You want to know about who's endorsing it. I mean, I could go on. There's so much stuff to research. I even call up and interview customers who've been using the product, talk to them. Research is huge, and that can really, you can tell when someone's written a supplement promotion and they have not done adequate research.
Yeah. The untrained eye.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really interesting. You look at the side column of the issue, and just some amazing. I mean, would you call them bullets, or what do you call them?
Which one are you looking at?
I'm looking at I just keep going back to how an ingredient found in celery can give you memory like an elephant.
Oh, I don't have that one in front of me.
Why decades of toxic exposure are taking a toll on your brain. There's a bunch of the ones on the side. The amazing memory secret of the ancient rishi. So you have a bunch of these. That
you just try to figure out, and those I pretty much write at the very end, because it's after I've written my copy and I'm going back, okay, what are my most exciting things to kind of pull people in and hitting the most benefits. I have a funny quick story on that though.
Yeah, go.
So I've written a lot of promotions for Soundview, which is their advanced bionutritionals business. And Paris Lampropoulos is their copy chief, and he's over the years written several for them as well. So he had a joint supplement control. It might still be the control that they've been mailing for quite a while. And I got it in the mail one day, and I realized that little table of contents sidebar on the front cover. It had all the bullets for my bone support control promotion. And somehow they had gotten overlaid, maybe the same designer had done, and had put those on that cover and left them on the joint one. But they were all about the osteoporosis bone support one. But it was still working.
It was still working.
And so they were loath to change it because, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it was something they were going to, because, when you have a control, just like a scientific experiment, you don't want to, if you change one thing, you don't know, well, is that going to tilt the balance? And then you want to do any kind of big change, you always want to test it first. I think they might still be purposely mailing it with the wrong bullets there because it's working.
That's
Isn't that pretty funny?
only you would discover that, I guess. So,
but joints, bones, they're all kind of the same.
It's related, in some sense. Kim, thank you so much. Everyone should check out. We'll link up all those sites. It's an absolute pleasure. Your website is a goldmine, so I hope people check it out. So thank you for all you do.
Great talking with you
Appreciate it.
today. All right. Bye-bye.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the same.